get your magic underwear.
He has a song called Magic Underwear or Magic Underpants. And I was like, what is this?
These are the wonderful underwear. They do have the
magic
compass
underwear?
These are magical. Yeah.
Those look
man.
Do they look super magical? I wore these magic underpants.
So like,
Yes.
Whispers in the shadows, stories left untold, conspiracies unravel, the brave lead the bold. Aliens on the radar, Bigfoot in the night, Atlantis deep beneath us, truth or just a lie. Speaking code, speak soft and slow. Secret tales no one won't know. Legends myths unravel first. Truth or fiction, shadows cast. Questions laced with mystery. Doubt of faith, what's right to see? Birds are gone or just pretend. Debate won't ever end. Guess with tales and secrets, opinions start to flow. Dive into the unknown. Is it real or a show? Speaking code.
I'm your host. This is Conspiracy of a Dead Man. This is the SpeakinCOAD Podcast. I introduced Chente. We got the one and only from the Unfiltered Rise Podcast, Heidi Luv. So
bam, 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 bam.
here we go again.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We're super pumped up. And
But we are super pumped to have you on tonight.
yes.
Thank
And
you.
people will be joining us shortly, hopefully. We'll see.
That's okay.
But
No worries.
we definitely wanted to. We got some words from other people that were like, you have to hit up Heidi Luv, see if she could jump on. We had to reschedule the last time. Thank God we did. Chente was so drunk. And
I was kind of done.
he's like, man, I'm going to ask all these questions. He's like, I got hammered just so I could be pumped up.
Oh,
He's
my.
usually like the quiet one in the background.
It's liquid encouragement. You know?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. No worries. I'm easy
So-
with questions. Yes.
Well, without further ado, we could just do the what's in your cup. So, Chente, you're going to be able to be a little.
I'm sorry. You know, I gotta have something to get me there. You know? So I got the gin and juice. What do you got?
Oh man, I got this one stuff. It's non-alcoholic. It's prickly paloma. It's just some random thing. You could.
What do you get? Trader Joe's?
Nah, I don't know. Vitamin shop or something. But this is our segment where we just do that icebreaker. You don't have to drink anything. I mean, I got water over here.
I did
too.
bring this. I brought this, but
Ooh.
it's not alcoholic at all. It's just very sugary. I don't know if I can say that name, but everybody knows what it is.
Yes.
Right,
It's a
the red
great,
can.
cleaner.
Yes, that and the iced tea. It's hot.
Oh, no.
It's hot in Utah. We're having a heat wave. It's
Yeah,
bad.
thank you so much for even being cool with jumping on and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I've got
of
nothing
course.
but good word about you and stuff. And they're like, you got to hit up Heidi. She's down
Yeah,
for a
man.
new podcast. Like, she doesn't care if you're been doing hundreds of podcasts or one. So,
Yep.
very
Nope, I
happy.
don't. We all got to start. We got to start somewhere. And if people get really selective like that, I feel like it's kind of a bummer because, like, you might miss something with the new podcasts. They bring new life into the system. You know what I mean? Got to
Yes.
have that, or it starts getting stagnant. So, if you just talk to the same old people all the time, you're talking to yourself. So,
Very true.
Ooh.
You get you're like, oh, crap, not
Yes.
again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't. I mean, and I love certain people. Of course, you want to like do collaborations, but also you
Yeah.
want to leave room for that new life, new blood. There you go. So my for those that don't know me, my whole thing kind of, I was telling you guys, is Mormonism, because I was a Mormon for 34 years and I live in Utah, which is not popular to be an ex-Mormon in Utah. It's kind of fun. But I used to be a jerk to ex-Mormons, so I guess I got it coming. You know, it is what it is. It definitely, what goes around comes around, right? You got to deal with it. But now I am just a Christian. I believe in the Bible. I got out and saw a lot of things that weren't quite right in Mormonism. And I was lucky enough to have that happen to me at a later time, because once you're in that long and go through the temple and do all the things and your whole family's in, you're usually not getting out. You're usually staying right where you are. And so I was lucky. Yeah. Yep, I got out, which I'm so glad, because all of my children are out, and our grandchildren will not be involved in it. And it is a cult, and it's widely underplayed. And I think my presentation will show that here in a bit, but it's widely underplayed as a cult, and it is very culty. So, yeah.
And I do have a couple questions just for, I mean, I'm dumb to it too. Growing up in the Midwest, like I'm from Ohio, we always had like Jehovah's Witnesses, or LDS, I think.
LDS, yep, Mormon. Mm-hmm.
So LDS and Jehovah's Witnesses, is that the same?
No, Mormon and LDS are the same, but Jehovah's Witnesses are different than us.
Okay.
So, yep.
So
but they do all knock on doors. They all are door knockers. So
yeah,
I can see why. Yeah. Yeah. The LDS, either two girls together or two guys together, but never, like sometimes with Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll see like a older man and a wife or something. That's usually not a thing.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. When I moved out to California, it was like, oh, I was like, wait, Disney's in San Diego? They're like, oh no, that's the Mormon church. I was like, Catholic?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, that's weird. So
it does look like that. And it doesn't surprise me, because Walt Disney was a Mason, and so are the Mormons. So yeah, it's like Mormonism is Freemasonry for the whole family, right?
Oh,
it's the joke.
So there was that one. It was the ODS and Mormon thing. Yeah, I think that was just it. Like, oh, I wonder how many people have these kind of questions.
How many what?
How many people out there have that kind of question like that? Because out here we don't really have Mormons. Like I've never been Mormon here, and then the only Mormons that I have met are through the military. And they're like, oh yeah, I lived in Argentina for like 6 months to a year, and I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, I speak fluent Spanish. I was like, you're whiter than me. Like, what the heck is going on? And they're like, I was like, yeah. What do you mean you had to? So
they have to. They get so at 18, they go on an LDS mission. It's a sabbatical for 2 years that they pay for out of their own pocket. And it's about $500 a month. And then after, well, even if they have like opportunities to go to college or play ball or do whatever, they give up everything and they go on this mission instead. It's not required, but it is. If you want to stay in good with your family, you're going to do that. And so they do no dating, no talking to women, no being away from your male or female partner. If you're girls, it's with a girl. If it's guy, it's with a guy. And you have to be with them at all times unless you're going to the bathroom for 2 years. Yeah. And you can't call home. And you can't talk to your family. You can write them emails, but it used to be on Christmas and Mother's Day you could call home, but I don't know if they've changed the rules because people started having mental breakdowns. Go figure. They're 18 and they've never left home before. And you send them to Chicago, deep in the hood. Like, what? What are you doing? Like, and they give them 6 weeks to train if they're going to like China or Malaysia or wherever, Argentina, and they better learn the language because if they don't, they're just going anyway. And then they do submersive training.
That's the best kind, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get married.
That's intense.
Learn Spanish.
Yeah, it's intense. Spanish is the least of your worries. They send people to like Swahili missions. Like that's a different situation there. Yeah. Like people with the clicking noises for teaching and stuff, like they go all over. So Yeah.
Did
I
you
would
get to
say
go?
Spanish is friendly. I did not go. No, I did what the good Mormon girls do. Now, if you're a good Mormon girl, you're married by the time you can go because you got to be 21 to be a girl. 18 for guys. It's pretty expected. 21 for women because you should be married. And they don't say that, but like we all know that. I got married at 17 to a 25-year-old man. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That works out really not good. Don't do that. Kids at home, if you're listening, parents, if you have to talk to your kids. Yeah, don't let them do that. You don't know who you are at 17.
That's what Janet wanted me to ask you. She's like, ask her about her husbands. I was like, what? She's like, she's like, all of them are crazy. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that would be the one. That would be the crazy one. He actually went real off his way and got really involved in drugs, and he was on meth. And I mean, he told me before we got married, and remember, I'm 17, he's 25. He's like, oh yeah, I used to be an addict. I'm like, okay, but you go to meetings. So like, I just didn't even, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then he's like, but I'm super bipolar and have a lot of problems. I'm like, right, you just take a pill, right? Like I had no idea what I was getting into. I was like, well, you're going to take your pill, then it's all good. Like, and I had no idea what I was doing. I think we knew each other 2 months. Maybe 3.
Dang.
Yeah.
Is it like not a mail order bride, but like they pair you up?
No, they just they don't. In the FLDS, you do not get a chance to pick who you marry because those are the polygamists or fundamentalists like Warren Jeffs. You see them, they dress like Little House on the Prairie, like Amish people. They don't get a pick. They just call you up one day because my brother-in-law is Warren. Do you know who Warren Jeffs is? He's in prison.
I heard it from Mark's podcast with you, but
yes.
Gente, I don't know if he.
Yeah.
He's the prophet. He's the prophet of the FLDS church. And he went to prison for pedo-y stuff because he was marrying 12-year-old girls. And he had like 40 wives or something by then. I don't know. He had a whole bunch of wives. I should know that. I should know how many wives he had, but it was a lot. And so, yeah. What's that?
What's FLDS?
A fundamentalist Latter-day Saint. So fundamentalist Latter-day Saint means that you agree to be by the letter of the law. And mainstream, you'll hear it said this way, like Mormon, mainstream, LDS. That means the people that come and knock on your door. The FLDS wouldn't give one crap about you because you're going to outer darkness, and sorry, they wouldn't bother their time on you because they're living off in their own world. If you even said hi to them, because I lived in St. George for a while and they live right close to there. And if you would like look at them or say hi to them or especially wearing this dress, sleeveless, oh my gosh, they're like Jezebel. Like they wouldn't say hi to you. So my brother-in-law is his nephew, Warren Jeff's nephew. So he's out. He wrote a book about his experiences, which is really rare because most of them get out and are fearful of their life, basically, and get their families taken from them, which did happen. And they never see their kids again, which happened until the boys got over 18, but he never saw his daughter again or his wives ever again. And they just do that. Yep. They just take them away and give them to other guys. And then, so I can tell that when we get into it, it's crazy. But so his book is on Amazon called Isaac's Story. And so I like to tell people, and it is an episode on my channel as well. So it's really, that was a hard interview because I mean, he was my brother-in-law for so long and like, they're not married now, but it was weird because I didn't know everything he had been going through, like when it was happening, because people just don't want to put their laundry out there like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you guys were going through all this, Yeah. And so it was a lot for him and my sister to deal with. So, yes. So I fight the family.
Is your sister still in it?
Oh, no, he was already out when he met my sister. She was always mainstream. So that was after he got thrown out. So they raided the compound in Texas quite a few years back, and they were building the new Zion, where they were building a temple. And actually I have my current episode is about Warren Jeffs and polygamy. And it does go into that really in depth. And on Patreon, I have about a 75 photo file of like the inside of that temple and all kinds of crazy stuff. Cause anyway, they raided it and took everybody's kids away. And they had heard that there was this underage girl marrying going on. So the state of Texas don't play. They were like, we're not doing that. So they took all the kids and they were like, no. And they don't do that in Utah. They kind of go, well, yeah, that's bad, but also look the other way because they've been doing it for how many years, because originally the teachings of the Mormon church were to be a polygamist, and you can't go to the celestial kingdom, which is the top heaven, because there's 3, unless you have 3 wives. So
Thanks.
that still holds true for the fundamentalists. So yeah,
That's crazy.
that's why Thomas won't join the LDS church, because I said you got to get married. Can't go you can't get married. You can't be going to the temple and do all the things. Get your magic underwear, and he's like, I'm not doing that. He was like, nah, not doing that.
I was asking him about some of that. Like he has a song called Magic Underwear or Magic Underpants, and I was like, what is this? Because there were certain ones I was going through. I'm like, what does this even mean? He's like, oh, you got to get more into like Warren Jeff and like all the like, or
it's hysterically funny. Yeah.
I was like,
after this episode, you're going to listen to that song again, put it in the end for the listeners, and then everybody will laugh because you'll know exactly what it means. So I'm going to explain it.
Awesome.
Yes, it's pretty funny. I wore those magical underpants for years and years, and they suck. Just so you know, the only thing magical about them is the rash you're gonna get.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, it's not fun. No.
Should that be the name of this episode? The Magic Underpants rash.
Yeah.
There you go.
Most definitely.
Oh my God.
They're like, what are we watching or what are we listening to?
They'll be like, what the
Just
hell? Yeah, it's hilarious. Gotta stay till at least the middle so you know what's going on.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So whenever you're ready, I prepared a little slideshow for you guys.
I got a question first, if I may.
Sure. You can ask all the questions. And also when we're going through the slideshow, you can ask me anything while we're doing it. Just stop me. Yeah.
I got some young kids and they're into like YouTube and all that. And the big ones are like, they're all from Utah. So you have like A for Adley. You have the Ninja Kids and some other people. I forgot, like Awesome Squad or something. I don't know. Do you know anything about them? Are they Mormon?
I'm probably certain Mormon influencers. I don't know these, and I should probably look them up because I'm sure my kid watches them too. And it's, a big deal out here you have to understand, like the Mormon family is like the perfect family, and they'll like put it out like, oh, look, we're having baby and we like have 47 people over and we did this beautiful party. Yeah. It's like, all the things. And your kid will be like, I didn't get a birthday party with a wedding cake. What the hell? Yeah. That's pretty much where they're going to get that from. Cause Mormons, if nothing else, are overachievers, hardcore. So
this guy, the A for Adley guy, he owns like Spaceship Gaming, I think it's called. But like he's big on talking about when he was young. I forgot, but he went to Honduras for so many years. And then what you said, I was like, I wonder if that has anything to do with it, because like his handles and everything is Shonduras, like Honduras. So
I bet it does, because he would have served a mission probably, and you could ask, but like. It's crazy. They all do. Like, if you don't serve a mission here, you're not going to get married to a pretty girl, like pretty much. Like, I'm not saying it's a no, but you are like 2 levels down from other guys, even if they're not attractive or don't have like everything, whatever they served a mission, they're going to be slightly higher. It's a thing.
Okay.
It's a status. And the Mormons are super overachievers, and I'll explain why, because they keep us busy all the time. Like that's why I said, like, I'm used to it. Like, I have 6 kids, and we have 2 grandkids, and I run this podcast, and I work as a nurse, and I produce it and I do the ads. Like, it doesn't
Right.
matter. You just get it done. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
it's a thing in the Mormon like mindset, because you're so used to doing things for like the word and your neighbors and this and that. And I'm not saying any of it's bad. That's not necessary. That's not really bad. But then
Right.
if you look up the stats in our state, and I'm also a mental health nurse, it's not good. Like, we also have one
Okay.
of the highest overdoses. We have prescription drug problems. We have the most people on antidepressants. Like, we got a lot of people on alcohol, I can tell you that one. Well, you might have to
Yeah.
bounce that out, but a lot of people on medications to help them get everything done. We'll do that. But yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah. And they become addicts because that's encouraged, whereas alcohol or, you know, herbal medicines are discouraged because that's
Right.
bad. You're bad. But also the church owns stock in pharmaceuticals, so that's interesting. And Tesla, you should look at their stock holdings. They're an interesting people. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll leave it at
Okay.
that. We don't want to get this completely thrown off.
Yeah.
because it will. So
Worst case, I'll
just
put
look
it
it
all.
up.
I'll edit some of this out for YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. Just look up their shareholdings. Look up
Okay.
why they're one of the wealthiest churches. Look up, you know, that they encourage the cure for 2020 to every man, woman, baby, child, everybody in their churches. And that should never be, you should never get medical advice from a church. That doesn't make any sense. I don't care what church. You should figure that out with your doctor and yourself and go figure that out. Like, don't let people talk you into weird stuff, because some people have problems, right? Like,
Right.
what are you doing? Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Gary.
I have one more question before we jump into it. So one of my buddies was like, I was like, hey, we're having Heidi Luv on. She does all the stuff about Mormon. He's like, what? Like the Book of Mormon? Like, he loves anything cult related, religion, cult related, anything bashing religion related. Like, he's like, oh, what about the Book of Mormon and all this stuff? I was like, well, what do you want me to ask? I was like, I'll ask whatever you want. He's like, ask her about soaking and why they think it's okay.
Oh,
I'm like,
it's not real.
Oh, damn.
It is. It's not real. Not that they don't try to get away with it, but I will say this: there's no way that the church would allow that. But I know exactly what he's talking about, because it would still, you're not even allowed to be, or like, we'll say unrobed, so you can fix that.
Okay.
We'll say unrobed in front of a man before you're married. So
Wow.
unless it's a doctor or something, because they're real strict about that. And you have to go into meetings with your bishop, even about being with yourself. We'll put it that way. Even with being
This
with
is like
yourself. Yeah, you have to tell
this
on
is like
yourself.
Catholic with extra steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Extra steps.
Okay.
Because this with a guy that isn't celibate, he has a wife at home. He's your bishop, and it's like the priest. It's very similar. And you go in and you do your little confessional, and you're 13 years old alone in a room with this guy that's 50. And he has a desk in front of him, and God only knows, like, it's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. Like, that's gross, you know, and they've had problems. And then what business is it of yours to talk to some little kid without their parent there? That's weird. Way weird, you know.
Yep.
You know. Good. Yeah. So religion perverts everything. Like, one thing I've learned, if anything, in my journey is that God is not religion. People need to understand and stop chucking the baby out with the bathwater, because almost every Mormon that leaves becomes an atheist, which is really hard for me to understand, because I mean, I get it, because everything you've been told is a lie. And once you find out everything's a lie and the wool's like pulled off of your eyes, just like with conspiracies, right? Then you're like, then this is a lie, then this is a lie, then that is a lie. You know, you get crazy when you first find out stuff. And then you're like telling everyone. And I think they feel like that, but they get stuck in that and not progress. Like, you can be angry. You can go through your phase, but don't hate on God, because God didn't make religion. That's crazy.
True.
That's not, Jesus came here and said what? He came here for the broken, right? He came here for the people that needed help. He hated the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and he hated these people that were ultra religious. He didn't go to them, you know, So maybe we ought to look at that before we just say, yucky, throw it away. Like,
Yeah.
no, there's a way, there's a better way. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it, man.
Or
Yeah,
that one.
I'll never
like it.
join another church. Fool me once. I'm like, I got baptized last year in the reservoir by a guy that I didn't really even know him. I knew he went to church a lot, not the Mormon church. I said, look, will you do this for me and my family? Because I don't want anybody that's like a priest I don't want anything like that. I just know you're a good person. Can you just baptize us? And he was like, sure. And, there was an earthquake that day. So up where I got baptized. That's weird. And the lightning struck like that night. And we don't get those big lightning storms like you guys get. I've been to Iowa. My ex-husband's from Iowa. And I don't know if you're from Iowa. You said Midwest, but
I said Ohio.
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Okay. So he's out in that area. Yeah. And I seen those crazy storms you guys get. We don't get that. But that night we did. And I would like to think that it was like a little battle in heaven for the souls I was about to save, because I baptized my whole family that day. And I was like, there you go. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a good
thing.
It's a lot easier than people make it out to be. Like I just journaled and started reading the Bible and started getting to know like praying on my own, not the way somebody else tells me. The only prayer that I say that is one that I've learned is the Lord's Prayer, because it's a good prayer. And it's a good prayer to have if you're in an emergency and you can't like think right because you're panicking. That's a good one. That's because it's in there already. So that can help. Yeah. Better to talk to God. He says what? Pray always and do not cease. That means you're talking all day long to him in your mind. You should be like, oh, okay, Lord, bless this person, or thanks for this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, there's always dialogue there. So that's what I think of anyway.
No,
that's
definitely.
For me.
And that's what you're talking about. Like, God isn't religion. It's like the same thing where like people will get hurt from somebody, or hurt from somebody from a church, or hurt from somebody, or just broken, or I don't know, maybe even annoyed or disciplined by somebody, where they're like get offended by it, and then they blame everything on Jesus, and they're like, that's not, I don't want to be a part of this, I don't like Jesus, and they hate the name so much, and you're just like, oh, why are you? No, that's not how this works. It's like, this would be pure love, and you're hating what somebody else did to you in his name, which that's not him, that's that person.
And plus Jesus hung everything on the cross except what was the rule he came back with? After he hung everything on the cross, people want to bring back like Old Testament rules and all this stuff, but like it was all hung on the cross. So he said one thing to people that they're kind of missing. Well, two things. Don't have other gods before him, right? That stands. I do believe in the 10 Commandments. I think it's a good way to live your life, obviously, but also love one another. Love your neighbor, love each other. Like, it's so difficult for people to understand. But like Billy down the road, if he's been your preacher for 30 years, he's fallible. We've watched all these big preachers and people fall from grace because why? Because they're people and they're people. And, they're not going to stop doing that. Not one of us are exempt from sinning. We could all be, we might point our finger and say that could never be me. But you know what? If anything I've learned, like after coming out of being a Mormon, it's like, maybe it could be because I was stuck in something that I didn't fully understand. And I was kind of an ass when I was in there. So, maybe just not to do that. Like, we don't always understand people. We don't understand their struggles. We don't understand their life. We don't understand their thing. So like, just love each other. It's really not our place. Like whenever my daughter says, but Mom, is that person going to go to hell? I'm like, I'm sure glad that's not my job. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not my job. Yeah. You don't have to worry about that. That's also not your job. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah. We got to figure that out. Yeah. We got to figure that out. He loves us all. He made us all. He thinks we're great. Like I have kids, they're all different. And I'm like, I wouldn't choose one over another just because one has different talents. Like, or looks different or what acts different, whatever, you love them all.
Chente would throw his son out with the bathwater. He's like, man, this
there you go.
Hey, you gotta go.
Must be a 10-year-old or a teenager. No, just
No,
kidding.
He's three.
That's hard. That is
No,
hard.
man, he's cool. He's cool.
Yeah. Toddler years are better because at least they sort of listen.
Yeah.
By 10 and 12, they're their own people. By 14, my grandpa used to say they're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
So, truth in that. But you just love them and support them. It's fine. They'll figure it out.
Cool. We're ready for the deep dive when you are.
Yeah.
All right.
You
gotta share your.
We'll see.
You gotta share your screen here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna get into this. All right. So Joseph Smith, can you see this photo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Joseph Smith's first vision, sort of. I love the Mormon Church because they always have a sort of. Okay, this is one of 4 versions. Okay, so depending on which version you go with, it could be a little different, but this is the one that the actual church puts out that says, yes, this is what our church believes. So according to Joseph Smith, at 14 years old, he didn't know what church to join. So he was reading in the Bible, studious as he was, though apparently he was a dumb farmer that didn't know how to do anything. But anyways, we'll get to that. So he goes out in the woods and prays because he reads that, let him ask of God if you don't know what to do. And he says, a fit of darkness came over him, and God the Father and the Son appeared to him in a vision and told him, don't join any church because none of them are right. And so he was like, all right, what does that mean? The next thing he sees, later he has a dream, and an angel, Moroni, says Joseph Smith is to find these golden plates that are the Book of Mormon, which is the Bible of the United States. So the Book of Mormon is going to be told to you that we're Christians too. We believe in the Bible too. We just have this other book, and it's about, the United States and its original people. Now, this guy, this Moroni, he's on the top of most of the temples. He also was described as a white Indian. So I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but me either. Unless they have albinism, I've not. It's very interesting that he described him as that. He was exceedingly white and delightsome. So he came and told him about these plates and that he should go find them in the hill Cumorah, which is in his backyard, because he has a bum leg. We're going to talk about that too. This is Moroni, and he's on the top of all the temples usually. Now they're starting to change things around. They're starting to not have him on top of temples, and they're starting to kind of whitewash the church a little bit. So if you see these disappear, it's because they're trying to blend in and be a Christian church and not the Mormons. So just so you guys know.
No, Moroni is the one with the bum leg.
Joseph, good old Joe. He is the founder. He's called the prophet, the leader, the seer, and the prophesier of the Mormon church, and also sometimes referred to as the president, which is the main thing that they go by now. And I was coming out of Mormonism. My husband had said to me, we were dating then, he said, hey, if you decide to go back and do the temple thing and all that, we can't date. He's like, I can't do that. You can do that, whatever you want to do, but I'm not ever doing it. Like we can still date, but I'm not going to go. And I was like, why? He's like, let me show you something. So he shows me a YouTube of a Mason ceremony. And I'm like, why is this on a Mason thing? This is the Mormon temple ceremony. And he's like, I know. And I was like, what? And so this started my little journey. Now you have to understand who I was when this journey happened. I was somebody searching for the truth in as much as I wanted the truth, which means I wanted to be right about my religion. Okay. I didn't want the truth. I wanted my truth. And I was hoping to find something that I could show him, or like that would bring me back over to where I could just do it without him or whatever. Right. So that I could feel good about this decision. But I was studying, which is dangerous for the Mormons. So while I was studying, I found this, and this is an excerpt of Lucy Mack Smith's manuscript in her handwriting, and it is actually his mother, Joseph Smith's mother, so the founder of the church, and it is from the actual church history library. So this can't be disputed because it's literally from their library. And it says, let not my readers suppose that because I shall pursue another topic for a season, that we stopped our labor and win it trying to win the faculty of a brack, drawing magic circles and soothsaying to the neglect of all kinds of business. Okay, she's talking about how they're not basically lazy. We never during our lives suffered an important interest to swallow up every other obligation. She's saying we weren't just doing these magic circles only. We were also working. We're not lazy farmers. Oh, okay. Well, I was like, well, who's the house of a brack? Because that sounds sketchy, or the faculty of a brack. I was like, what the hell is that? So I was like putting that in my back pocket, like, okay, let me figure this out. So this is Joseph. And like I said, the mom had written that letter. She had raised Joseph since he was young here. She was first born here. Her parents immigrated from Scotland, which is important. Joseph ended up with typhoid when he was young, about 5 years old, and he almost killed him. She was known as a Scottish healer, and she actually summoned doctors from Harvard, even though, remember, she's supposed to be a dumb farmer lady. And they came and listened to her. Instead of cutting off his whole leg, they cut out the infected pieces, which is the correct thing to do. And he suffered with this for quite a long time because back then, like, they don't have wound vacs and all these things that he would have needed. But he had this bad leg and was in the house, not working in the farm with his father or his brothers. With who? His mom. So I'm assuming that he knew how to read pretty well. Because one thing's for sure, if you're a kid and you got nothing else to do and there's no TV, you're probably going to read a book. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do. He's got this bad leg. So anyways, long story short, he's got this Scottish background. She's writing weird stuff about the house of a brack. He's saying he's seeing spirits. And he eventually ends up with these plates that he says he got from this angel, Moroni, but it took years. Okay. This wasn't like he got it once and then he got them and then that was all like they want you to believe. It took like 7 years till he was like in his 20s, which is why he's a man here, not a boy. And they're supposedly gold, pure gold. And when I was young, this is how they told us that he translated these plates, which he was like this studious guy with the Urim and Thummim, which should sound familiar if you know anything about the Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism. Anyways, that he was using this to translate these literal books. Okay. And so like shows him translating things with these special spectacles. This is actually what was really going on, which is why this mom that I was started researching the occult because I was like, what exactly is happening here?
Is he throwing up?
He is got his head in a hat, blocking out all of the light, and he's got a magical stone in there. And we're going to talk about that magical stone. And he's got a scribe, much the same as our friend John D. So this is kind of a reenactment of Joseph Smith. He has this treasure bag here that's for protection sigils, which I'll show soon. He has his hat, which was actually white, which I was told as a child, I'm going to be 48 next month. And as a kid, I was always told this is a made up story. There's no such thing as Joseph with a rock. Like, that's crazy. South Park came out. We all saw it and went, oh my gosh.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and it's true. It's 100% true. That whole skit is true. Yep, it is adding up. And so they told us, like, that's a lie. And you should get mad at these people if they say that to you, and stay off the internet and don't read anti-Mormon books. What are you doing? And so, yeah, don't read that. And so we were kind of shocked when this year, actually, I think it was last year, their almost 100-year-old president of the church, prophet, seer, and revelator Russell M. Nelson, pulled out said hat out of the vaults. And remember, this doesn't exist. I'm 48 and it was not a thing. So all of a sudden, all of us older Mormons went, oh my gosh, there's a hat. It's just like they said on South Park. Like all of us were like, what? This is real. And I think that they knew they were screwed is what was up, because I think they knew like really it was coming out. There was nothing they could do to get ahead of it. And if they didn't do something soon, it was going to come out regardless. So I think this was a stunt, like a PR stunt, but it is literally the real hat. And they also have the stone. And this president is a surgeon, and he belongs to the University of Utah's Skull and Bones. Yeah. And he also belongs to something there called the Owl and Key, very similar to the Scroll and Key that Yale has. I've spoke to Mark. Mark has verified that, you know, they have one called Scroll and Key. This branch is an offshoot of the actual Skull and Bones and made by real Skull and Bones members that had pledged to Yale's Skull and Bones. So they are literally using the same stuff. And he is a member. So that's very interesting to me.
It's exactly the same.
Yes, is the rock. And this rock was found and stolen by Willard Chase from Willard Chase by Joseph. He was over digging a well on their property, and they found this rock, and he said, can I borrow it? And then he never gave it back. So Mormonism is literally built upon a stolen rock.
Yo.
So that made me laugh even more, because I was like, they should have put that in the South Park. That would have been more funny. This is also his other seer stone. And if you know anything about the occult, which I did not know then, it's very important to have a dark colored stone and a light colored stone. And this is his light colored stone. And he has quite a few other occult contraptions. Now, when we get to the sigil part, I'll explain how John Dee came into it for me. But I had never heard John Dee's name before this, unless it was in history class, and I blew it off. This is an actual replication of what he says the Urim and Thummim looked like that he was translating the records with. But also, don't forget, this became cumbersome that they were attached to that breastplate, and it had like the glasses attached right there. And so he didn't use that very often. He preferred the hat method, where he blocked out all the light and he called out symbols that were Egyptian hieroglyphs to his scribes, which he went through a bunch of them. And so eventually this disappears because he had to give it back to the angel, because angels need stuff. So don't worry about it. All right. This kind of shows, I love showing actual historical proof. I bring receipts because people will say I'm full of it, especially Mormons. They'll say this didn't happen. That's a lie. That's why I bring things to say from the Church History Museum, from a court. Okay, this is from the court case. He was involved in a court case, and he was brought to the court case because he was fined for being a shitty treasure looker, basically. He couldn't find the treasure and basically was swindling people, and they got mad and took him to court. This was something that people did back then, like a lot, like water witching, treasure digging, all this stuff was kind of folk magic. People did this all the time. So this is like jaywalking, and he literally got taken to court for it. So that tells you how bad it was. And so it was kind of nice for me, because the one thing is it left a trail of affidavits and all this stuff, let alone actual proof that he got fined, which I don't think he ever paid because he's a Freemason. So we're going to get to this part. So let me see. This should be, we can go here next. So that angel that I told you about, the angel wanted one thing before he gave up the plates. And he said, you know what? You need to bring your brother with you the next year, because he'd been going back every year at the same time, same place, trying to get these plates for years. And he was like, finally, I'm going to get these plates. I'm so happy about it. Okay. So then a month later, his brother dies. So he can't take him. Obviously, he's dead. And This got ran in a real newspaper by Joseph Smith Sr., who is the dad of the prophet of the church, Joseph Smith Jr. And it basically says this was really ran in Palmyra, September of 1824, that they didn't dig up their son, but they're going to prove it by digging up their son, because people said they dug up their son. So they have to dig up their son to show people that they didn't dig up their son. Perfect.
Jeez.
Okay.
Whatever.
They said he was dissected, right? So everybody jokes that knows like skull and bones stuff and masonry, and then you add it all in with this weird story, is that Alvin, his brother, had a hand probably in Mormonism. Because my guess is there was some kind of exchange there. They probably took something to that angel, is my guess.
Oh, I'm tracking.
Yep. So this is an actual replication of Willard Chase, the neighbor who's the rock belonged to. And he described this scene where they were out treasure digging, and the father went around making symbols with his sword. Then they dug in that area after they slit a goat's throat in the middle of the night and let it bleed all over the area so that they could find treasure. Right. Okay. So apparently they, like I said, yeah, they sucked at it. And I think this was why they ended up in court, because like they just took the goat and went home and probably ate it, but they didn't find any treasure. But this stuff should look familiar if you know anything about the occult.
Is that the sigils?
Which I did not know about. Yes. So important thing to know. It'll all tie.
Yo, it's the chicken head god.
Beautiful bow on it. Yes. So the one thing that I do think, yes, this is a chicken snake bod, Abraxas. Now, remember what Lucy Mack Smith said about who she served. She was talking about serving the house of a brack, like Abraxas.
Oh, shoot.
So, and what was he pulling his information out of? A hat. What do you say when you pull things out of a hat and you do magic? You say abracadabra, right?
Yep.
And so why do we say those things? Well, they're sigil. It's sigil magic, right? And there's a price to be paid with Abraxas. Abraxas is really important, I believe, to the Mormon church, but I don't think normal Mormon people, normie Mormons like I was, know this. Because why would you know anything unless you're upper level of anything? It's like this in politics. It's like this in skull and bones. It's like this in Freemasons. It's like this is the same in every single thing. They're not just going to tell their sheep all the secrets. It's not going to happen, right? So I truly believe, he's a necromancer. Abraxas is a necromancer. And they do a lot of things for dead people in this church. And I know I'm jumping around, but this is a fast and dirty version of the church. So it'll all be tied together with a bow, I swear. But we have to know all the players in the game before we go forward. So this is an actual picture of the Smiths family magical relics. These pictures have been provided by a seller that purchased them, or a purchaser of them, and he won't sell them. And they're a private collector. So how they came up with these is they went through the other side of the church. So Joseph died with his brother in Carthage jail, and there was multiple items in the jail because they were being jailed for destroying a printing press, because they were talking crap about Joseph being a polygamist, and he was, and trying to sleep with everybody's wives. And so they were jailed for this, and all this stuff was left behind, and they basically split it up and went about their lives. Well, later on, the church is trying to say that's not Joseph's, that was Hiram's. And I'll tell you why it's not true. Well, I mean, I can't prove it, but I can kind of prove it. These sigils right here are part of those parchments. And the first picture is why you're going to see these recreations, because they're so badly deteriorated. See how bad they are. Holiness to the Lord parchment is the first one. Here's the better picture of it. Somebody was kind enough to redo this photo. But if you look at it, maybe there we go. Oh, you little turkey thing. It usually blows up for me, but my touch screen's being naughty. Okay. If you look at the bottom, it cites where these symbols come from. Now, remember, this is the church story. These are poor farmers that don't know crap and never read a book. Okay. The oldest son, he was like the farmer. The second son, Hiram, like Hiram Abiff. Yeah. Keep saying they're not Masons. Cool. Okay. So he went to college. He went to Dartmouth, but they never mention anything about this because it was the Indian school inside of Dartmouth. But I mean, he went to Dartmouth, it's Ivy League. So he's there and Joseph is sick at home with his mom. So my bet is the guy that needs protection, right? He's out doing all this treasure digging and weird stuff later in his life. Who's going to need the protection? Not the guy at college. He's doing his own stuff, like whatever. It's going to be Joseph because he's the one out prophesying these weird things. Also, all of the books that have these sigils marked in them are really sketchy books, like The Magus by Francis Barrett, The Discovery of Witchcraft, Occult Sciences, and The Liber Officium Spiritum. So these books are occult in nature, obviously. If you look at the sigils, you can see that they're pretty odd. Even if you're a lay person that hasn't studied a lot about the occult, you can tell. I mean, they don't look quite right, Here's the second one. This is called the Jehovah parchment. And it's a protection sigil. It's got pentagrams. It's got this weird symbol down at the bottom, which is a calling down for a specific angel. And this angel only shows up one other time in all of the reverse lookup on Google. And this is why I found John Dee, because it shows up and it cites back to John Dee. And I was like, well, who the hell is that? He's not a Mormon. I was like, where'd this guy come from? No, he definitely wasn't. He was Queen Elizabeth I. He wasn't her astrologer or anything like that, but she counseled with him a lot. He wasn't part of the court per se, but his dad was. He was like the fabric chooser, but he was critical. He ran around with her all the time, giving her advice, like picking her coronation date, like all these things with like magical stuff. Do you guys know about John Dee at all?
No.
Okay. So John Dee is this guy, and he was literally critical in mathematics, but also he spoke to angels. Starting to sound familiar? And he saw all these angels, and for 7 years he worked with a scribe, and he wasn't the one that put his head in the hat. The other guy would, and he would be the writer because he was very like mathematically brained. He couldn't relax or whatever enough to get angels in there, but he saw a lot of things when this was happening in court with this guy. And for 7 years, they were writing stacks on stacks on stacks of just manuscripts that these angels were telling them. And they wrote the Enochian alphabet. Okay. This is the guy that wrote it down. I'm not going to say he created it because I'm pretty sure it was already created, but he and Edward Kelly were the first ones to write it down. And the Enochian alphabet today is used in a lot of magic and occult practices. And it is an actual language. Like if he made it up, you would have to be like the most brilliant person ever. And also the angel, they were super mean to them. They told them they stunk all the time. They would like play tricks on them. They would stab them, like take a sword out of the book and like stab them for no reason and just like crazy stuff. And they dealt with this for a long time. Well, eventually they were like, hey, guess what, guys? This would be a great idea. You should switch wives because that would be fun.
What?
And you should do, yeah. And so this guy was extremely pious, and he was like, he loved God. He really thought he was talking to like God's angels. At this point, my guess is he kind of knew he wasn't. Like, hello, like probably not. But he went along with it, whatever, because you have to understand 7 years of work down the toilet if you now admit like these angels are bad guys, right? Like they're fallen angels. And so I will like to tie this in because John Dee is actually one of the most critical people when you talk about different religions and what these writings became. These writings became like all of the secret orders, like not necessarily Masons, but like just it went rampant. But then like the problem is King James took over for Elizabeth after she died, and he hated magical stuff, so he was like trying to kill everybody and he had to flee, but he still got stuff out. Okay. And so Rosicrucians, all this stuff kind of came with John Dee. And so they died horribly. He watched all his kids die except for like one. He also had to raise that guy's kid his whole life because she got pregnant. It was a whole thing. And then that guy also died horribly. It was just not good. None of them died well. But I bring this up because what did he see? He saw angels, right? Well, then what they tell him to do? Write stuff down. And what did it become? A book. And what did the book do? It made religions, many religions. Well, we can do that again. We can go L. Ron Hubbard in the desert doing kinky stuff. And again, they swapped wives. L. Ron Hubbard's doing other things. And they did swap wives, Jack Parsons and him. It becomes a book. What happens to that? It becomes Scientology. We can do that again. We can do Muhammad. Muhammad would pass out, go into a fit of darkness, see visions, wake up. His scribes, they were non-written people, so they would memorize it after he would wake up, and they would memorize everything he said. And then what happens to him? There's a price to be paid. It's polygamy, not only polygamy, but pedophilia. He married a 6-year-old girl and solidified that marriage at 8.5. And so, you know, that kind of stuff. And it became what? A huge religion. Okay. Joseph Smith saw an angel. They said, write this stuff down. It becomes a book. It becomes religion. And what's his price to be paid? Polygamy again. It's always some sexual cost. Always. We can do a fun one. How about Aleister Crowley? Aleister Crowley didn't need to see an angel because he didn't care. He wanted to see whatever demonic crap there was to see. And he went and he saw something. What was it? It was Aiwass. And what did Aiwass say to do? Write this down. And it became the book of the law. And the book of the law became Thelema. This is going on. And it's never a different story. These angels are up to no good. I'm not saying I doubt that he saw an angel. I'm not on board with he was high on mushrooms and crazy out of his mind and whack job, whatever, like, or schizophrenic, or there's 100 things you could say, but why is every story exactly the same, hundreds of years apart? It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. And the fact that they all became religion. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to mention is all of the angels that they saw. Wonder how many of them were actually fallen angels.
Oh, no, I think they 100% were. I think they were fallen angels and spirits for an actual fact, because Joseph Smith said he saw 26 angels and or dead people and or spirits, including John the Baptist.
And the other thing I was going to mention was I was talking with a guy about this earlier today. How I think that people that become schizophrenic, I wonder if they're possessed in some sort of way, because usually what leads to that is some sort of drugs or spirits, which are different alcohols, you know, that they open this door that lets it in.
Yeah, alcohol. He's talking about alcohol. And there is like many various things about alcohol spirits, right? They call them spirits. They call alcohol spirits. There's a whole thing. There's a whole breakdown. I haven't done it yet on alcohol, but I will. Okay. Sorry, my allergies are next level right now. But I think it's true. I think whenever your inhibitions are a little bit low, like you could possibly have something, if you weren't solidified in your faith or solidified in who you are, what you follow, or if you have some darkness, like maybe there's a way in, right? And I often wonder if these were invited in with these people that I'm talking about, because they were so fooled thinking this is a good thing. I don't think that Joseph Smith made it up. I don't think that he was schizophrenic. I don't even think that he didn't not see angels and or dead people, which is where we'll get back to Abraxas. I think all of that really did happen to him. And that is a huge place where I differ from everybody else. They all think this other story. But I'm sorry, when you pull stories from clear, if you want to even go past John Dee and go to Al Kindi, which is even older, you get these stories over and over and over and over and over. They're doing something. They're trying to get this out, but every time it's perverted. If it was of God, would it require a sexual cost? Would it require some kinky weird? No, God doesn't care about that stuff. Who cared about that stuff? Who left their position in heaven for that? That's right. The fallen angels did.
Yep.
And so I just say that I think they're very real. I know it for a fact. And I've seen people that are really affected by mental illness because I work in patient mental health. But I've also seen people with schizophrenia where I'm like, that doesn't look the same as that. And people can say, well, it's just a different brand or different kind. And sometimes you go, I don't know. It looks pretty demonic, you know,
Oh, yeah.
for lack of a better word. And nothing works with those people. And when you meet them, if you already kind of are saved, and I have a cross on my hand, stuff like that, like they hate you. It's like instantaneous. People will either love you or hate you when you're in God's army. It's like one or the other, because it's very few people I've met that are in the middle. It's like instantaneous, because the Bible says that if you are God's chosen people, like you belong to Jesus Christ and his army, that your stench will literally affect them and they will hate you for it. And so I'm just saying that's where I stand on it. People can think I'm crazy all day long, but I've done a lot of studying, reading tons of books. I'm really summarizing this because if I really went into John Dee's work, I mean, it was years upon years, like it would take us all day. But the major thing about it and how it correlates to Joseph is you have to understand they didn't live at the same time or in the same place. He was in England, and Joseph's family was from Scotland. Well, not his family. I guess it's more his mom side anyway. But like this is years and years and years apart. This is not the same time frame. And so people say, well, he didn't have access to these books. Yes, he did. He did. His brother went to college and he came home all the time. What would you bring a kid that's laid up with typhoid? A book. You'd bring him a book. You'd bring him lots of books. Why did JFK get so smart and was such a good reader? Because he was sick when he was young with asthma and all this other and kidney disease and a whole bunch of problems. And what did he do? He sat in a hospital and read books. He became really smart. So I definitely doubt that Joseph Smith wasn't smart. They said he wasn't a good writer, but we both know like reading and writing are definitely different. And you could have like a learning disability for writing. Maybe he had dyslexia. I don't know. You know, like for writing, there's different ones for reading, for writing, like the connections of the brain. So I don't know, but I think it's interesting that he definitely had knowledge to write this. He had to know what he was writing to write this. And it's even more far-fetched for the dad to have written it. Like, really? He was a farmer. He didn't go to college. He wasn't even a Mason because he couldn't pledge because he was an alcoholic. Speaking of alcoholism. Also, Joseph really, really had a hard time with it later in his life. And his brother, like I said, was off at school at Dartmouth. And so it's pretty interesting. He also was influenced by somebody named, this, I look at this up all the time thinking this has to be a lie. This has to be fake because it's too good to be true. Lumens is his last. Lumen Walters. What does lumen mean? Bringer of light, right? Like, yeah. Okay. It's too good. It's like, really? You may as well named him Lucifer. Like, okay. But it was his wife's cousin.
Okay.
And he met him when he was about 13, 14. Right in that time frame. He was a doctor. He was traveling. He had just been to Europe. What would that guy teach Joseph? What would that guy do for Joseph? Oh, well, he'd teach him some stuff. He was out reading Greek books to people, and they thought he was magical because he could read Greek. So there's some stuff there. It's not like he wasn't heavily influenced. So, but this was really important to me because, oh, also, if you looked at the center, does this look familiar? like what the dad had drawn.
Yeah, on the ground.
I was thinking it was Vikings or something too.
No, it's Enochian.
Oh,
and
okay.
and I'll show you a little excerpt of it, and you'll definitely see it. So all of
Okay.
these parchments belong to Joseph Smith Sr. and Joseph Smith Jr., but were inherited by the brother who died with him after the death of Joseph and Hiram in 1844. This parchment is the property of private collector. Like I said, this one looks like Baphomet to me in the middle. Right here.
And
TBD
joined us.
Or female body parts.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh, whoa. This went crazy. My touch screen is having a moment. Okay, so this is also part of what he had on them at death that was split up. This is a Mars dagger, seal of Mars on one side, Adonai and Scorpio, and the intelligence of Mars on the other. This is a sigil knife. This is a sigil dagger, better yet. So if you know anything about the occult, they have a cup, they have a dagger, they have certain things that they have to have. Okay. Well, this goes right along with that. And this is a prayer that's already on the knife. So when they kill whatever they're going to kill and sacrifice, it's already done. So you'll see this little symbol down here, and it's Enochian. It's all written in Enochian. This is just proving what I just told to you. The Smith family acquired instruments of ceremonial magic, including a dagger inscribed with occult and religious symbols. So there again, just to prove that I'm not lying about it. Joseph actually died and had this on him at his death, although he didn't have his magical underwear on. He did have on a magical talisman. Joseph's magical Jupiter talisman was given back to Emma. She actually did verify the belongings of this, and then it was bought by another guy. Bideman is his name, and this ended up in a museum. But it is true, it was Joseph's. It's been verified. It's to give the person, this is the seal of Jupiter on here, and it's got a magical table. You can see it up close, and it's an Enochian magical table. So it's obvious this is a magical practicing tool. I mean, this thing is not being nice to me today. This is an excerpt on the bottom of the characters that Joseph Smith wrote down for the scribes so that they could, like he would say, write down this, and he would translate it later into whatever it was supposed to be. He called it ancient hieroglyphics. He thought it was ancient Egyptian. But actually, if you look at it and look at the piece above, that is the Enochian alphabet that John Dee, my friend, wrote that I just told you about.
So Enochian is a language that John Dee wrote. I was thinking that it was the Book of Enoch language or something.
No, they just call it Enochian alphabet, but John Dee didn't make it up. He got it from the angels, and he said it's the language from God. So, and this is what they got from the angels, and they had to tell him it in a certain way, because the angels said if you really spoke it the right way, that the world would like end, and basically like all hell would break loose, because it's angel language. And they still use this to this day. They still use Enochian alphabet. So it's kind of very strange that, he didn't know what he had, but yet he wrote it down. And so him not knowing John Dee's work, him not knowing the Enochian alphabet, him thinking it was Egyptian hieroglyphics, all that stuff. And yet it's the same thing. And we have this nice little paper, because the great part about this is they took this into someone named Anton. It's called the Anton paper, because they wanted it verified that it was actually like ancient and all these things. And so he's like, where did you get it though? And they were like, well, came from these angels. He's like, get out of here. I'm not going to verify your stupid angel magic. Like, go. And so they left, and they were like, hey, can we have our paper back? And he's like, no. So he kept it. Yeah. And so we ended up, getting it to be saved, because probably it would have been lost. I mean, this was like sacred, or I say lost, it would be hidden in the vaults
Yeah.
underneath the temple in Salt Lake City. Now, any questions about so far with John D, Enochian, Sigil Magic, all the stuff? I'm going to mute because I'm going to cough because my allergies are so crazy right now.
There's a guy that just
Oh my
joined
gosh.
us. I don't know who he is. No.
So he joined at the perfect time because we're going to go watch a movie. I got to turn it down because it's super dang loud. And this
I do
is
have a question before the movie.
recreation of the temple ceremony. But I have been through the temple ceremony, and I'll tell you, most of this is true. I'll tell you the parts that are they were true, but they've thrown them out. So
What you are seeing is an authentic, first-time ever on film reenactment of secret Mormon temple ceremonies that even most Mormons have never seen. And those who have sworn never to reveal these secrets under penalty of death.
The execution of the penalty is represented by placing the right thumb under the left ear, drawing the thumb quickly across the throat to the right ear, and dropping the hand to the side.
All of us who've been through the temple have sworn solemn oaths consenting to having our throat slit and our heart and our vitals torn out.
The execution of the penalty is represented by drawing the thumb quickly across the body and dropping the hands to the side.
In the Mormon temple marriage, the partners are sealed to each other for time and all eternity in Mason-like rituals. And without this ceremony, no one can enter the presence of Joseph Smith and become a god.
Pay, lay, ale. Brother Pratt, having authority, I wash you preparatory to receiving your anointings for and in behalf of John Kimball, who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
Sister Bradford, I wash you preparatory to you receiving your anointings for and behalf of
Eliza Barrett,
who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
I wash your head, that your brain and intellect may become clear and active.
Your eyes, that you may see clearly and discern between truth and error.
Thousands of occultic ceremonies each day are performed for the dead, so that they too can receive the benefits of Mormonism. Mormons are encouraged to have encounters with the dead, and it's not uncommon for demons impersonating the dead to appear to Mormons stating that they've been converted to the Mormon church in the spirit world and now want their family history traced.
Your loins, that you may be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, that you may have joy in your posterity.
Your vitals and bowels, that they may be strong and healthy and perform their proper function.
Your breast, that it may be the receptacle of pure and virtuous principles.
okay, so that is a recreation, but that is pretty dang close. Like I'm telling you, I've been through. So sorry, my allergies are terrible.
Is that you there?
Are you guys still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I think
cool.
I think
So
TBD has a question.
I can't see anybody, so just come
Oh.
at me with the questions.
All right.
All right, go
TBD.
TBD.
Well, I joined right when you were talking about magical underwear.
We're gonna get into the
Oh.
magical underwear.
Okay.
They're coming right up on a platter.
Oh, no. A wedgie.
Okay.
They are. That's a permanent wedgie, I promise. These are the ceremonial clothes that you wear in the temple, and the black of the apron is not true. It's just a bad lighting, and they're actually bright, like a dark green, and they are
Okay.
fig leaves. And as you see, it's a one-breasted robe, which should sound really familiar if you know anything about the occult. One-breasted robe in the OTO, one-breasted robe for Masons. It's a very common. It's pretty common. The women do not veil their faces anymore. We used to have to when I went through, because we were not worthy to visualize the priesthood because we didn't have it. And so there was pushback on that. There's been multiple changes to this whole ceremony, including they don't do the neck slitting anymore because, well, I can tell you why I think, but I don't have proof of this. But there was a horrific murder in 1980. And they were Mormon, and they went a little crazy, and they blood atoned a woman and slit her throat.
God
And
dang.
so
Oh.
yeah, and her baby's throat. And I
God.
actually know the surviving husband, and he found them. It was his brothers that did it because she disobeyed, and it's called the Lafferty brothers case.
Wow.
And it was really brutal. And not even 2 years later, they took that part out because blood atonement is a real thing in the LDS church. They used to say that not all sins were covered by the blood of Jesus, that you would sometimes have to have your throat slit by and spill your own blood to cover your sins, which including apostasy, which is what I am. I'm an apostate. So only murderers and apostates go to outer darkness, which is like Mormon hell. It's very similar to purgatory, kind of.
Is Jesus a part of the Mormon church at all?
He is, but he is a separate entity. So remember when I told you that God the Father and the Son appeared? They do not believe in the Trinity. They believe they are actually three separate people. And they believe that God, it's so like the Emerald Tablets that it blows my mind a little bit. So it's very similar because they believe that God was as man will be and that he was as man is now. So they call it the Adam God doctrine. You can look this up. This is a real thing that they believe that God is only a God because he like ascended and knew everything. So then he made all of us. And then one day we'll do the same thing and we can get our own planet. And then the men will be over there, each of their planets. The wives will just be eternally pregnant. There's a harem of wives eternally pregnant, and they make all the spirit babies. And this is referred to as kolob. And because they say kolob is where God lives and that it's similar up in the sky by the moon and the stars. So they deny this teaching now. This was part of the King Follett sermon. And the King Follett sermon is, they kind of go back and forth on it now. Yes, the prophet of the church said it, but also the prophet of the church wasn't speaking as a prophet. And they do this a lot. If it's something sketchy and something weird, they're like, well, he was just a man that day. Don't you know he was a man that day? And then I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he was like God, like he's the prophet. He's, he knows all the things. Well, sometimes he's a guy. You can't fault him. So that's how they get away with everything. And it's really ridiculous. So they did get rid of the slicing throats and the veil. And when you're in there, it's just the creepiest. And it would take me all day to go through the whole ceremony. But quick and dirty is they're doing work for the dead. And that's why they said people impersonating the dead. So, and so they baptize the dead. This is a baptismal font in the temple. This is real. They usually are golden calves, just so you know, which the calf thing, as I learned more and more about the occult, I'm like, wow, this just looks like the belly of the beast. And we're sticking our virginal children into it. Like, let's do that because that's Molochian. Yeah. But they say we're baptizing for the dead people that didn't get baptized here on earth. So if you die and somebody in your family is a Mormon, for sure, 110%, you will be baptized after your death by some little kid that's 12 feeling really uncomfortable in all white skivvies in this thing. So that's what happens. The adults can do this part, but they don't. They leave it for the kids, and 12 to 16-year-olds make it a fun family time. And you go as a group effort. And if you don't go, then people assume you had sex or something because you're not on the list of good kids. And then it's a whole thing. So you go, and then you have ice cream with the boys. Like the boys do it, and then you do it. So the other part, here we go. So these are the signs and penalties that I'm never supposed to show you guys. The one where they're raising their hands up like this in the corner, that's probably the one that really did it in for me. As I was sitting there, I was like, what in the Sam hell is going on? Like, nobody told me we were going to start chanting. Like, I hit my grandma. Remember, this is supposed to be your best day ever. And you're like, hey, what is going on over here? They're like chanting all culty weird shit. And then this is all, I was like, what is happening? She's like, don't worry, you'll get used to it. And then my great grandma said, well, when we did it, they scrubbed us naked in a bathtub. So I was like, okay, grandma, whatever. And you just shut up because you don't want to make any waves, you know. You don't, because it's your family. this is your whole
No, they
family.
did the
These
24/7.
are, oh yeah, it's like if, when I left, I don't have any of my extended family around me whatsoever. Just my mom. It was already out. So yeah, you lose people. My grandma sued me. She turned me into child protective services. It's a whole thing. She's told everyone I was a thief. I don't know. It was bad. It was really bad. She would
rock, not me.
Yeah, she's like sending the missionaries to my house constantly. She's passed away now. It's a good place for her to be with. Yeah, for eternity. Because I can't.
Wow.
It was so hard when she was alive. She was making it literally horrible for my life. Not that I wish her dead, but I'm happy that she's peacefully resting. We'll say that.
Yes.
Gotcha.
These are the wonderful underwear. They do have
The
the
magic
compass
underwear?
and square. These are magical. Yeah.
Those
Oh man.
Do they look super magical? I wore these every day for years. So you have to wear a bra over the top of them because these have to be touching your skin. And they have this the compass and the square on your nipples and then a ruler sideways on your umbilicus. And I always thought later after I got out and I started learning about the occult nature of things, I'm like, I wonder if there's anything in the crotch of these because it's over every orifice that's open in your body. And you would never notice because there's like a panty area, like a crease line. So I don't know that we would notice. I find it interesting because they don't tell a sheeple everything. It's just the high ups that know the things. So this part, like I said, they have to be touching your bare skin. If you have your lady time, it's a nightmare. If you put your bra on over the top of it, you have to wear these at all times. These are not maybe, or I want to wear this cute dress today. No. These are the rest of your life every day after you go through the temple forever. Until
why
you
does
die.
it have
And then
to
they
be touching your
bury
skin?
you in them. What's that? Oh, yeah. Why do they? Exactly. Yeah. Trust me when I tell you with the markings over the orifices and then the way they make you put them on and they have to touch your skin. Like you have to put them on right hand first, right leg first. They can never touch the floor. They can never come off unless you're going to the gym, going swimming, or making more Mormons. And as soon as you're done making more Mormons, you got to put them right back on. Yeah. Showering, changing them. You have 7 pairs of these. These are your underwear. It's not like people always ask, oh, don't they get stinky? You wear them. I'm like, no, you have as many as you want to buy. You can have 50 pairs of them if you want. You wear a new pair every day if you have that kind of money. But they're $40 a piece, and the church makes them exclusively. And you cannot buy them anywhere else. Only by the church.
Did
And
they
they're barcoded.
pray over or anoint them or something like that?
I have tried to find this out. I am certain that they do. Because they are considered holy and they're given to you in the temple for the first time when you receive the first pair. And they also give them to you like when you get your new name and the temple stuff is really in depth, but this is part of it that you get new underwear. And so here's the markings more up close so you can kind of see. And this is also the evolution. But I will tell you, how I said about the FLDS or the Little House on the Prairie people, they still wear this. They still wear long johns. They have to. They look very similar to rabbinical Jews and their underwear. If you ever have seen rabbinical Jewish underclothing, you'll see they wear a tie. It like ties behind. It's very similar to this. I'm certain that Joseph read the Kabbalah, but I cannot prove this. They obviously were one piece butt flaps, and then they have evolved to the 2-piece, which is lovely. So much better.
It's like the evolution of a bikini.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, only for the mainstream Mormons, because the other Mormons, the FLDS, still live it to the letter of the law. That's why they're still polygamous. That's why they still wear the long underwear. That's why they do their hair the way they do. That's why they look the way they do. So this apron I found really interesting. This is the apron that is currently in temple ceremonies. Satan wears a dark apron, which he says is a symbol of his powers and priesthoods. This is true. I've seen it. Before the 1960s, Satan in the temple wore an apron with many symbols on it, including the all-seeing eye, beehive skull, crossbones, compasses, suns, moons, stars, etc. And I did ask my great-grandma about this back in the day, and it was true. Because I come from literally my family, my DNA history, like my DNA says Mormon settler. Like I'm never getting away from this. This is just part of my life. So yeah. So
That's
all
the
of my
same
family
exact one as
Mormon.
Masons, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's got the well, it's got one extra pillar, but yeah, it's almost the same. And so it's got the arch, it's got the all-seeing eye, it's got the Moses pavement, all of it. Yep. So very interesting. It is not an arguable fact. It's a fact that Joseph Smith was a Mason, and his brother Hiram, like Hiram Abiff, was a Mason. I mean, it's hysterical that people still say otherwise. The Masons acknowledge that Joseph Smith was a master Mason, and he achieved his master Mason in 3 days. Yeah. What? So he knew some stuff, but he was illiterate, dumb farmer. But like, yeah. Okay, whatever. And also he got his temple rights from the Masons, and 6 weeks later he made the temple rights for the Mormon Church that I showed you the little clip of, but it's like a 2-hour thing. If we go through the whole thing, it would just take eons of time. Then they give us the handshakes, which, by the way, these are Mason handshakes. So we only got 3. We only got 3 of these. We're not so cool. But I put this on here because I like to give an example of what Joseph did. So the bottom shake for the Masons, the real grip of a master Mason, or the lion's paw. For us as Mormons, we would say that is the true sign of the nail, and they move it down over the wrist and say that's the true sign of the nail of Jesus. He just made him Jesus-y. But they're still the same. And for Mormons, like I said, we only get 3. But for Mormons, this is never, 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 never to be done outside of the temple, ever. And so this next picture, remember that I told you that? Never, never, never to be done outside of the temple. But this is President Baby Bush and President Thomas S. Monson, LDS temple or LDS prophet, seer, and revelator. He's passed away. He's been replaced, obviously. Shaking hands, doing that in public. So quite interesting that he would choose to do that out in front of everyone when it's supposed to be a sacred sign and symbol.
And I wonder if they do it.
They do. They do it. And he was Skull and Bones. I don't know about Monson, though. The new one is. The new one is Skull and Bones.
Is the new
this
one?
This is the new one.
Oh.
This is the new one. Mm-hmm.
He's the one that had the
and
hat
look,
and reenactment.
Yep. He wore the hat, and he's almost 100. In fact, he may be 100. I don't know when his birthday is, but he is almost 100. See what he's doing to that key? He's also doing that symbol. He's doing one of the handshakes, and he shouldn't be doing that out in public. Wow. People will say, oh, you're reaching. I know what they are. I did them a lot. So whatever. They can say what they want. Like this is my last slide, and this is the current LDS Mormon mainstream, not FLDS, okay, not the polygamous church temple. So this temple currently is under construction. I believe in my whole heart, because they've got a gate up around it and they've made it so we can't see. I need to go down there and do an expose on this. But anyway, I think they're covering these up because they've attracted so much pushback. There's cloud stones, moonstones, pentagrams. There's all kinds of astrological stuff, which Mormons aren't supposed to practice and or be any part of. All of this stuff is on the outside of these buildings, visible for everyone to see, including look at the shape of, it's like phallus and then circle, phallus, circle. Yeah. It's hysterical. There's no accidents. Let's be real.
That one looks like
very
a butthole.
much. Yeah, it's either that or another hole, but there's something going on here. And I'll say this, I think they're actually harnessing. Okay, so now that we're at the end of the slideshow, I'm going to shut this so I can see you guys. All right, let's see here. Okay. There you are. Hello.
Hola.
So I think in my opinion of my studies, it goes back to Abraxas. Don't forget that they said in the temple that we do the first time for ourselves when we go through the temple. We are taking on those magical rites for ourselves. But every time after that, including the baptisms, we're doing it for dead people. So back to Abraxas. Why would we be doing dead people stuff in there? Why the hell does that matter for this church, right? Like what are they doing? Why are they doing that? Well, the one thing that Abraxas gives when you do necromancy is, well, a few things. He gives the ability to see into the future. Remember what our prophet's called? Prophet, seer, revelator. Prophet, seer, revelator. Mm-hmm. He gives us knowledge. He gives us power. And I say us because I was Mormon forever, but I'm not. And so I believe this is a huge loosh grab from the peasants, like the regular people, because if you saw, everything has steeples on the top and they all have that golden Moroni statue. And I think that's all for energy harnessing. I think they're doing all this weird stuff. And I can't be the only one that felt, well, I know I'm not. Go on TikTok and put in temple ceremony, LDS people. You'll see everything you need to see and how people feel about it. I'm not the only one that feels weird about it. They're harnessing fear, no different than Monsters, Inc., literally. And they're harnessing different things to exalt those people that need it. And that's why I think Abraxas comes into play. And for his mom to mention the house of Abrax, I mean, that's his mother. That is weird. Like, and then you get into, there's other magical rites that they reserve for the upper uppities, which is the second anointing, which very few Mormons will speak on this. The second anointing is when you literally have to be recommended by a quorum of the 12. So it goes to the apostle, and then he has his first and second counselors. And then you have the quorum of the 12 is next, and then the quorum of the 70. So they're up there, man. They're the people that they choose the prophets from, is this 12 men, always men, of course. But when you get to this point and somebody recommends you for that anointing, you go and you have your feet washed by an apostle in the temple. And basically what they say to you is your place has been made sure, that you are guaranteed to go to heaven, that you have already been prejudged and that Jesus won't judge you in the hereafter. And that no matter what you do, unless you murder someone or talk out and leave the church like I'm doing right now, your place will be made sure in heaven. And so those people that receive that anointing go home and it's sealed. The last part of the blessing is sealed by a person that can't give a blessing in normal church. A woman may never hold the priesthood. A woman may never give a blessing. A woman can say a prayer for you, but she has less power than the 12-year-old boys. Okay. So when they get this second anointing, they anoint her to priestess, priest and priestess, God and goddess. So she becomes able to give a blessing, and she seals the blessing on her husband. It is the last act of the highest level of prayers in the church. Tell me that isn't some female worship crap. No, they're doing something. They're harnessing. I know it for a fact. Like, there's no way they can tell me otherwise. It's so much more occultic than people realize. Like with the slideshow and stuff, like you see all that stuff and you go, what in the heck is going on? You just thought Mormons were nice people that knock on your door. You know, they don't know this. They don't know, which is sad. And if I tried to tell Mormons this, they would throw me out of their house. They would not listen to me. They tell you to stay off the internet. They tell you doubt your doubts, don't doubt your faith. They tell you all these things. They have all these slogans, and the internet has really crippled them. People are leaving in droves because we can find this information. And I'm not the only one, but I speak out more than most because they pissed me off. You don't tell a woman lies about Jesus. Like, you don't tell me that's how I go to heaven and then find out it's a Mason ceremony. If you want to be a Mason, go be a Mason. If you want to be a devil worshiper, knock yourself out. But don't drag me into it and tell me it's about going to heaven, right? Like, no, you get some mad women. Mad women are like a thorn in your side. So, so that's why I do this, because I feel like people need to know that it's like covered up with a pretty bow on it. Mormonism is widely accepted as a really nice religion. And they are nice people.
I do have a question. You said like they couldn't go to heaven unless they like murdered or sacrificed a person.
No.
If they get the second anointing, if they're special enough to get the second anointing, and I mean special enough by how much tithing you pay. When you do tithing at a Mormon, at a Mormon church, tithing settlement is not like regular tithing people. You don't just put the money in the hat, whatever you feel about. No. After taxes, you go and meet with your bishop and you take your taxes in, and they look at your taxes, and then they say, you didn't pay on your gross. You only paid on your net. You owe us money. And then if you owe them money, then you can go be the janitor for a while for free. That happened to me.
It's almost like, it kind of reminds me of Scientology. The more you put into it,
very
the more
much.
you get out of it. There's like a benefit.
Very much. They do not believe that Jesus's blood covers. You have to understand. You have to do everything you can on this earth. So if you earn 70 cents, this is why they're all overachievers. If you earn 70 cents on this earth of your salvation, then Jesus might kick in the 30, maybe. If you're good enough, if you didn't drink coffee and you didn't drink tea and you wore your special underwear and you went to church every Sunday and then you went, Sundays, 3 hours.
You can't drink coffee?
No coffee, no tea, no alcohol, no weed, no none of that, nothing. You have to be like really good that way. And then you can't have sex before marriage. You can't. I mean, I'm not saying some of these things aren't good for you. Like, come on. But if they can control what underwear you wear, that's a hell of a lot of control.
Yeah. Hey, you're gonna have some magical good mark, man.
And then Joseph Smith died without him on. I was like, should have wore your underwear, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
still would have been here, maybe.
Yeah, that was interesting.
At the end of the day, you look at that and you learn, like, okay, if this whole thing is set up on magic, basically Enochian magic at that, then how come it's about Jesus? Because that doesn't have anything to do with Jesus. So I'm confused. Like, if they came out tomorrow and said, listen, we're Masons, big deal. That's what we do. That's how we like it. Like, the Scientologists have no shame. I give one up for them, because you know what? They're like, this is how we are. And that's what it is. And I'm like, cool. But I don't talk about them that much, because you know what? They say what they do. They don't care. And same with Satanists. They're going to tell you when you walk in, you know what you're going to have to do, But like Mormons, you do all this stuff because you think it's about God and Jesus and all this stuff. And then at the end you go, wait, what? Why are we doing this again? And then you're like, okay, I'm confused, And so that's the part that I think is super wrong, because it's so deceptive. And they get people, especially Latin people. The Latin community is hit. I'm telling you this. Want to know why? Because they believe in family, and they'll come and tell you your family can be together forever. You tell me very many Latin people that wouldn't be sold on that. But what does the Bible say? There is no man or woman in heaven. There is no marriage in heaven. Jesus said it himself. Those are words of Jesus. Jesus said so. He said, you will be like the angels. You will be exalted like the angels. You won't need this stuff anymore. Because they were asking about the woman at the well and saying, who will she be married to? She's been married to like 7 dudes. And he says, it doesn't matter about that. It will be gone. That doesn't matter anymore. That's why angels are not, they don't have a sexual anything, which is why they make androgyny so popular, by the way, because they're trying to harness angel magic. And that's truth. Like, they're not male or female. They can choose. They can choose how they present to people. So, Yeah, it's scary. It's scary because the more you know, the better you are. And the more you stay away from all that, just read the Bible, learn about God, and pray. That's the best advice I can give anybody, because all the rest of this is dirty, filthy rags to God. Jesus said so. So, you know, once I figured that out and I figured out real grace, my life changed. It really did. So
Now, when did that happen? Like compared to like when you got out?
it didn't happen right away. It happened. I got out in 2012. Yeah, 2012 about, and I was saved by 2013, but I got rebaptized last year because I waited until I really felt like I was at a good place for that. I did my whole family, like I said, just to God in a reservoir. I wanted to do the river, but it was super fast that year. There was no way we would have lost one. You know, one would have floated down the river. So we had to do the reservoir. And, you know, I started journaling and I had some really bad stuff happen in 2020 to me. I've had a really hard life, which is why my podcast is called Unfiltered Rise, because I'm very unfiltered. As a warning. That's what that is. And then rise is rise above your situation. Don't fall victim to the mentality that you are a victim. It's not good for your soul. Rise above it, share with others. I'm not saying gloss over it and not talk about it or say this is what I went through. Like, that's okay. But like, move forward, help somebody. These bad things happen to us, and you know what you can do with them? You can help people, because if you talk about it, they're going to say, you know what? I had that happen to me too, or whatever. And my daughter, estranged from our family, she met a guy, and she was my closest kid, because I was only 20 when I had her, and I basically grew up with her. And, you know, she was so close with me. She looks just like me. It's really crazy. She has a baby now that looks just like us, but she met a dude that was like, nope. Met us 3 times, said we're garbage people, narcissists, bad people. And we never saw her or talked to her again. She cut us off 100%, changed the number, closed the Facebook. I'm talking full cut off. And she lives clear far away where I can't even get to her. But even if I could, he would probably call the police.
And they're
that bad. What? No.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
They're Baptist. Yep. And he just doesn't like us. He just met me, and I think he's pretty controlling, and I'm really loud, and I don't think he likes that, because I would have something to say if he did something to my kid. Yeah, nope. And I think he knows, like, I always joke with my kids, my husband looks like maybe he should be the scary one, but I'm the scary one. Like, he's like, I don't like your mom. Yeah, because he knows I would come after him if he did something to my kid. It's just a fact. I wouldn't like hurt him, but I would tell him how I felt, like, for sure. And I don't think he liked that. He didn't want us involved. He didn't, but not only me, he cut off the whole entire family. Nobody ever saw her again for 5 years until just barely. Jeez. Like barely, like maybe 3 weeks ago she came.
Damn.
I didn't get to see her. I'm off the planet. I'm in the rejected toy world.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's hard. And so when that happened to me, my faith, though I had suffered through childhood abuse, I had suffered through some crazy stuff. I was a ward of the court. I was a child bride. I was all this weird stuff happened to me, but I think that hurt me the most. And I really had to get down on my knees, and I had to get to know God, because I didn't want to be here anymore. And I still had 5 kids at home that really needed their mom. You know, I didn't want to take myself out. I just didn't want to be here anymore. I just didn't care. I was sad. And so, you know, I journaled, I read my Bible. I got to know the Lord. I got a dog. That's the best thing ever. But
yes.
Yeah. And you know what? It healed me from the inside out. And finally, when I realized, like, hey, it's like you're sitting on the gold that Jesus gave when he said he gave people each some money And he said, what did you do with it? And the one guy buried it because he didn't want to lose it. That's what we do with our trauma. And we can't do that as a people anymore, because you could help somebody. You can help people. And so I decided maybe I'll pray about this. And I was like, God, I don't know how to help people. I don't know anybody. Like, I only have like 3 friends. I live in Utah and I'm an ex-Mormon. I was like, God, do you know what's up? Like, they don't like me. And God was like, you're going to talk on podcasts. And I was like, no, I definitely am not doing that. He's like, you said you'd do anything. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how to run the computer though. I was like, the computer hates me. I cried a whole bunch because nobody helps me with this. Like, I'm by my own. And I figured it out. God has me. It's okay. And I realized, I said, who's going to listen to me anyways? This is nuts. Like, it's crazy. And people do. There's people that listen. So, and they say it helps them. And if my shame or my story, I mean, it's not shame really anymore. If my sadness like helps people, cool. Do that. You know,
God gives his, what is it, toughest battles to the strongest warriors. Isn't that the saying, TBD?
Yeah,
so true.
yeah, that's the saying.
So true.
You definitely came through,
It's hard. And it's like almost like it's fake, because like my brother died of an accidental overdose. Like my uncle got shot because he was in a biker gang. Like it's a crazy life, like crazy. But I look at it at the end of the day and I'm like, but somebody can relate to probably one thing in my story. Like somebody can relate to at least one, like a divorce or an estrangement or the biker thing or whatever. And I always tell people, you know what, even though I got married at 17, I didn't go to school. I have 2 degrees. I became a nurse. I did it while raising 6 kids. You can do hard things. You can do it. Yeah. And you can,
all that going around
God
you,
is more important.
you still went through it. You still came out on top, it seems like.
You gotta, each day you just gotta start again. I fall short always, but God's got that too. Like we just gotta share our light with people, and then that is what they want to make sure doesn't happen. Like that right there, they want to make sure that doesn't happen. They want to make sure that we don't understand each other, that we don't relate to each other, that we don't get it, that we don't comprehend things. And I've been through a lot of things. I mean, I had my niece straight tell me, look at my face after my brother died and tell me, I'm not going to live with some white lady. And I almost dropped my cup. I was like, I have raised you with my brother since you were a baby. And now I'm some white lady. I was like, you have lost your mind. And we lost her too, and it was hard. All these things are hard, but she came back. See, that's the thing. You just got to keep loving them. I mean, she went through a lot when my brother died. Her mom died a year later, killed herself, so like, this is like tragedy. And you just have to keep showing people that you'll show up. You'll be there. Even if you shut me out, my daughter, I tell people all the time, if she came to the door right now, she knows my door is open, period. You just have to keep loving them, even if it's from afar. There's not much you can do. So you can do it. Anybody can do it. So that's why I do this. I would do this just for God. That's it.
Bam.
It's awesome.
I think it's important. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys stand for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
And even
and so,
not to talk about like podcasting stuff, for example, but like you were saying, like you pretty much had to teach yourself everything. But like you teaching yourself things about like the clips and then spreading that to Todd. He sent that to me before I even met you. So it's like, in a way, it's like I knew you before knowing you, and then it's like I've because of your help with other people, it's helping other people by hearing other things and trying to make their editing. I mean, it's not even life, but
it's little, but it's big when you're doing it, because you're upset and you're like, you're struggling. Like he didn't know me that well. We only did 2 episodes, but he felt comfortable enough to come to me and not feel shame. right? Because that's how we all feel. Like at first, we all have to learn somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. I'm not a computer genius, but hey, I know how to do this. Hey, I know how to do that. And if we help each other up just a little bit, then you can change things. Like you said, it came full circle to you. I'm sure you're going to help somebody else. And that's what I tell people, like, just help people. Don't, you know, if they ask you to do something small, like I even had a lady ask me, like, will you do this blog for me? And people were like, well, blogs are outdated. And I'm like, yeah, but she's awesome. And she's a really nice lady. And she asked me about my testimony and write it down. What's it going to take me? 20 minutes or something? Like, why not? It's going to help them. Then they can spread their light their way, you know, whatever way you do. Like, it doesn't have to be podcasting. My job in nursing, I do the same thing, you know, and it's my pleasure to help people. It's always been my pleasure to help people because, you know, if you're going to be that nurse that kicks somebody on their worst day ever, then you're going to pay for that. You know, you don't do that. Yeah. And so working with the mentally ill, people always say, oh, I couldn't do that job. That sucks. And I'm like, no, it's really rewarding sometimes, you know, and I get to work with addicts, and my brother was an addict. And actually yesterday was his day. You know, it's been 7 years, and, you know, now I can help somebody like that. I couldn't get to him. And I tell people in there, they say it sucks to be in here. I'm like, you know what? My brother didn't end up in a place like this, and it sucks to be where he is more.
Yeah.
He's in a grave. You know, I tell people straight up, I don't make it cute. Like, it is what it is. You know, sometimes life is not cute. So, yeah. And that's what gets me in trouble. That's why I'm the narcissist, toxic lady. Just because I say it the way it is. People don't like it, but it's okay.
You don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, that's how I was raised. You know, I was raised by some hard people, and they don't do that. So, you know, one of the best people in my whole life was my Uncle Tom and my grandpa. And my Uncle Tom was a sundowner. And people would say, oh, he was a really good guy because I named my son after him. And I'm like, well, I mean, he was the secretary of the Sundowners. I mean, he was really good to me. I don't know that he was a really good person. I mean, overall, but yeah, to me, he was great. I don't have to judge his position, but I know he went through some things, you know, and it doesn't matter to me. It's so irrelevant. You know, we've all known people that maybe were a little misled, but had such a golden heart, you know. That's where we got to come in and try, right? You can't save them all. You just try your best. You lead them to water. That's all you can do. So,
man,
it's my story.
Yeah. Positive reinforcement at the end too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You are the bringer of bliss. That's for sure.
Yes.
The bringer of bliss.
And my name is Heidi Luv, so you gotta live up to it, right? My crazy hippie parents. Yeah.
So I have a quick video I wanted to show. Just see what you get thoughts on it. It is Mormon related.
Oh, for sure.
Let me see if I can pull this up real fast. And then I think TP or Chante wanted me to pull something up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's ready. Oh, I know what it is. And it's true.
Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race. Thus, Lucifer became the devil.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's a lot longer than that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever told TBD I was a PD.
That's not what's going to happen.
So, as I mentioned, my niece is half black.
Okay.
This went over like a lead balloon for me.
Oh,
and if she came to me and said she was going to be Mormon tomorrow, I'd probably drop over. I mean, I would try to be nice about it. But yes, so there was something called the one drop rule in Mormonism for a very long time. They did not give priesthood to Black men until 1978. If you do not have the priesthood, you cannot go to heaven, to the top heaven. You may only be a servant in heaven. You can get the first priesthood, which would get you there, but you would become a servant. Brown skinned people are excluded from that. However, you were a race that was also cursed for a different reason, because, well, specifically they speak of this with the Indians, because Laman and Lemuel in the Book of Mormon were the brothers of Nephi, and they did some bad things and they were not obedient, so they cursed them with a dark skin. So either it comes from the line of Cain or the Laman and Lemuel, but specifically for the Black race, they would say, like, still to this day, if the FLDS found out that you had black, one drop of black in your blood, you're done. You can't be a part of their community. And that, to me, God made us all. God is like so awesome that he would make all of his children so different. And I have a lot of children and grandchildren that are all so different. Okay, I have a brunette, I have a redhead husband, I have blondes, I have all these kids, okay, that look totally different. I have my niece, I have my nephews. My sister married a half Chinese, half Hawaiian. Like, we got it all. My mom married a Latino guy. And I'm telling you this, there's no way that God would make us less than or greater than for our skin. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But the Mormons believe it and they denounce it now. But boy, was that a backstep, because their second prophet, president, whatever you want to call him, was extremely racist. And actually, one of his other quotes was, if you were to catch your wife in bed with a person of another color, specifically black, it's better to put a sword through both of them than let them live.
Damn.
Whoa.
It's bad. I mean, he wasn't playing. He was terrible. Now, Joseph Smith wasn't quite as bad. He actually did baptize a black man, and he was sort of an abolitionist, honestly. I think it's part of what got him killed. Two things. They say it's the polygamy thing. He was hitting on everybody's wives, because actually he wasn't just a polygamist. He was a polyamorist. He liked to go with other people's wives, which that's not a thing in the religion at all. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he was doing his thing, obviously. But he actually started giving the Masonic rites to women, and he baptized the black man. So I think that got him in a lot of hot water. And so, because even to this day, the Masons don't allow women in their stuff. They have their own group. They got theirs. Like, the women can't come in theirs. So I think that might have got him killed. I think his wife was a strong lady. She was like me, I think. She was like, you're going to do that? I'm going to do that too. Like, I think she pushed it. I really do. I think she did.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I can't prove that. Just saying. She was ride or die, though. On her deathbed, she was like, her son was like, did you know if dad was a polygamist? And she said, I knew it not ever. And everybody knew it. Everybody. She caught him in the barn with a 15-year-old girl. So, yeah, no, people knew what he was doing, and and many people really liked what he was doing. So, yeah,
jeez,
it was a problem.
Then Chente, you wanted to ask something?
Yeah, man. We got a hypothetical, I guess. I don't know if you want to pull up this map. All right, so this map is who would win this war. In the red, we got the Mormons, right? The darker the red, the more popularity. Not popularity.
The Mormon they are.
and then in the green, we got the Amish. Dark green, more populated. If it were to come to blows for supremacy, who we got?
Who would win?
Yeah.
Definitely the Mormons. They're all about them guns.
Oh, yeah.
Some right right-winging, crazy ass preppers with guns and bullets.
Okay. But I feel like the Amish would be more of a guerrilla warfare type deal.
They would, but like every
but
Mormon.
I feel like the Mormons would have to go to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the Amish aren't driving
Yeah, because they're
anywhere.
pacifists. They don't believe in fighting, but the Mormons definitely do. The
And
Mormons
also-
have built Las Vegas. Like the Mormons were a mob. They're mob. It ain't
Mobbed
good.
up.
You know who else was a Mormon? Ted Bundy.
Oh,
Really?
but the Amish
You know
mafia.
that?
I think they said that in the movie, yeah?
Yeah.
For sure, whatever it was.
Yep.
So I feel like looking at this map, the Amish would have to definitely come together
Yeah,
and dig in
Definitely.
somewhere.
they would have to get in 15 passenger vans and have somebody drive them to the next nearest
Hey,
location.
that's the vehicle in Utah, man.
Well, look at right there, somewhere that looks like maybe
Where?
like in East Texas. There's some Mormons, yeah.
Yeah,
They believe in prepping. They believe in the end of the world. And let me tell you what, they got everything for 2 years. It has been the end of the world every year of my life since I was born. So they're ready, is what I'm telling you. Anytime. They don't care. And they don't believe in the government. They only live it because it's the law of the land, but they're ready to go anarchy anytime.
No.
Yeah.
Amish don't pay taxes,
Yeah.
but
True.
neither do the Mormons.
Neither do the FLDS. The regular Mormons do, but the
Okay.
FLDS not. Nope.
Oh, and this
And
was
so,
from Missing the Point.
Ha, Drew. What's up,
He was-
Drew?
He was the other one that Thomas recommended. So
He's great.
Yeah, so that was my question, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I definitely think Mormons can be very dangerous people because they are taught from a very young age, especially the men, that they are very superior to any race. They are superior to other creeds, colors. They are superior because they have the priesthood. They are superior. Like literally, they will say dumb things like they just don't know because they haven't been to the temple. They just don't know because like they're very all about that. So Magic Underpants.
So like,
Yes.
so I also feel like the Mormons, they're kind of like, I guess in Salt Lake City, that's where like the capital is, right? I guess if I could say that.
Well, I mean, this is where they settled. So this is the most populated for sure, I think.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like if I was just like to Google that, that's probably what would come up. Yeah, like if I didn't know anything
Uh-oh.
bad. But
If you
so
were
it's kind of
to
like
hear, no,
no,
you
so
would
it's kind of like
just
a Vatican type deal, yeah. Because
The
it says they have
temple-
their own records, everything underground, and I'm pretty sure these Mormons they can hide a body.
Oh,
Like
for
a
sure.
compound.
No, there's tunnels everywhere. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what I think you're asking, because it cut up a little bit, is
Oh, my
if you
bad.
moved here, would you be accepted? Is that what you said?
No. I was just saying if that was like the capital, if I was to Google it as that,
Google it.
would Salt Lake City show up or whatever?
What, like the Mormon
yeah.
capital?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mormons, Salt Lake and Utah are just known for Mormons. That's the thing. But I will say this, for the first time ever, because of the internet, we dropped to 50-50. They no longer own this state. And so
Okay.
I think they still do politically and everything like that because they're very powerful. They are a part of the agenda. They're part of Agenda 21. They got some stuff that's real sketchy, and we'll just leave that alone. People can look that up on their own. They're part of all the things everywhere. The beast system, we'll just call it the beast system. They are definitely part of that plan. They are one of the richest churches because they ensure that their tithing people pay 10% of their gross income for every household, period. They are really good at hiding money. They're really good at getting people to leave them all their money on their deathbeds. So there's a lot of things that go on with the Mormons, but I will say I don't think they can keep the lid on it anymore because of the internet. And plus Californians are moving in droves because it's California. It's California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 50-50, they say. I don't know. But I know this. I don't vote because it's only been blue once ever. The electoral vote only was blue one time ever in all the history of Utah.
Oh, wow.
I don't even bother. Not that I agree with either side. I'm apolitical. I think they're both on it together. I think they go have lunch, but whatever. Yeah. What do I know?
Well, you ready for our next segment?
Yes.
Trivia. Oh, it's backwards.
Oh, boy. Oh, conspiracy trivia.
I just got 5 questions, and they're all different topics. One's aliens, myths, or mythos, tech, schemes, and random. So,
oh, boy.
This is for all of you, but I'll let you. Nobody's keeping score. Chente keeps throwing away the scorecards. So
I know, man. My bad.
His 3-year-old that keeps throwing it away. That's why he doesn't like them. It's like you're ruining the segment.
Well, I'll start today.
Yeah. All right. So
there
the first topic is what?
Oh, me? Aliens for 300.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I thought somebody said something. I was like, wait, what? I was about to read it. Aliens. All right, and then it's a multiple choice. So, what do the aliens living in Tonto National Forest allegedly like to eat? A. Spotted owls. B. Cats. C. Jackalopes. Or D. People.
Whoa.
And I can repeat it.
Who answers me? I'm going to say
owls.
D.
You're going to say people?
Same people.
Would you say CD?
Spotted owls.
Okay. Chente?
Jackalopes.
All right.
Oh.
Heidi Luv was correct. It's people.
People.
Soil and green is people.
That's scary.
Yeah. All right. The next one is mythos. According to flat earthers, what natural phenomenon creates the illusion of the sun setting? A. The horizon triangulation. B. Angular warping. C. The law of perception. Or D. The solar spotlight.
Law of perception.
Whatever. C. Was that C?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
All right. C.
Yeah, that's it. Law of perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody got that,
Yeah.
Well, some people trying to convince me that the world is flat, that it's round like me.
Who tries to do that?
We'll get Dave White on here shortly. All right. What is dirty electricity? A. Electricity with health-damaging emissions. B. Power used to view adult entertainment. C. Power generated with coal. Or D. Electricity generated by alien technology.
I'm going to say A.
Yeah, I'm going with A as well.
Yeah, it was A. Electricity with damaging emissions. All right, we got 2 more. All right, this one's schemes. What aspect of the damage to the Pentagon and the 9/11 attacks makes conspiracy theorists claim that they were not caused by an airplane? A. They were too small. B. They were too large. C. They were triangular shaped. Or D. They were at the exact points where red X's were apparently spray painted.
I want to go with D.
Yeah, D.
I'm gonna follow the group as AD as well.
It was A. They were too small.
Son of a bitch.
I don't think there was any wings or anything there. But I don't know. All right, and then this one's random. Conspiracy theorists claim that Lindsay Lohan's drug addiction resulted from what tragic event? A, the cover-up of her twin sister's death. B, exposure to chemtrails on the movie set. C, reading the Vogue article titled Freckles Aren't Cool. Or D, the release of the movie Mean Girls. I didn't make any of these up, I swear.
Oh,
B.
yeah, it'd have to be D. I don't think she had a twin, but I don't know.
In a movie, she had a twin, but it wasn't the chemtrails.
Okay, it was A, the cover-up of her twin sister's death.
She did have a twin.
I got
Wow, they covered that up good.
I remember there was like the
She had the
there was
Parent
a
Trap.
movie where she was in the Parent Trap. That's what it was, where she played her own twin. When I never heard of her having a twin before.
Oh, wow,
So,
crazy. Dang.
I thought it was because of Dan Snyder.
oh, she was Disney, wasn't she? All right, Chente, who's the winner?
Miss Heidi Luv came in with 3 points.
Christine.
Yeah. PBD got 2, and I got 1 because I followed everyone else. There you go.
Go.
Woo.
And then
There you
TBD, you got a thought for the day?
As long as I don't like disappear on you, I have a thought for the day.
Okay, just he disappeared.
Oh, but no, I think he pulled the screen. He pulled the screen down. He's trying to get one.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for him to come back.
He's probably trying to read one.
I wish you would have just sent it in the comments.
Then that means you have to do. Oh, he's back. Oh,
This will be edited.
nope.
All right, man. What it is?
Would you be mad if I say I forgot it while we were just talking?
No. You want me to just read one that you had from earlier?
Oh yeah, just do that,
man. No, man, just wing it. Pull it out of your skull, bro.
Oh, just wing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Make it about
let's
Mormons.
see, just wing it. We're Mormons.
Put your head in the hat, and then pick one.
Oh, let's see. Thought for the day. I don't drink water because of the dirty things fish do in it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
It's
good enough.
Thought for the day. Thought for the day.
I got another one.
Mormons no longer
Okay.
hate black. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's the truth of the
I
day.
think I'm still gonna take my chance with the Amish.
They're crazy.
I got one. What do you guys think? When you guys are in the car, you can reach over and touch the other side of it, right? Like you can lock the door.
Yeah.
Reach over and lock it. But you can't do that in a bus. But they both fit in a lane. You know what I mean? You ever think about that?
That just means we're in a simulation.
Me, I guess. You're right. Yo, this morning I thought I was in a simulation. I was working from home because that's what I do sometimes. But I was looking out the window and there was like no traffic. And then all of a sudden, I picked my head up and look, and there's just traffic going by and by. And I felt like it's only going by because I'm looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like all day, I felt like there's no traffic until I actually picked my head up and I concentrated for a little bit, and then cars just coming and coming. But that's none of my business.
Well, have you ever seen your neighbors bring in groceries?
No, not one time.
Because we're in a simulation. They don't need groceries.
But they've seen me bringing groceries. I know that.
Because you're the only real person.
Oh.
You're right.
Doesn't it creep you out? You have to think about your neighbors being NPCs at nighttime and they're just like frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until you look back at them and then they start moving.
That's scary.
It's like upload.
They're stuck for days like that.
Yeah,
Apparently.
like the Sims.
I'm busy. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Well, Heidi, do you want me to throw up your stuff for the plugs?
Sure. Shameless plug. Yes, I'm Heidi Luv. I'm at the Unfiltered Rise podcast. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. I am on Patreon at the Unfiltered Rise, and my Patreon, I don't take away anything. Instead, what I do is I give you extra every month, and I give you 2 extra shows, and they're all about Mormons, murder, and mayhem. And so instead of my regular stuff, it's all about Mormon murderers and weird stuff that they do. Or it could be
Mormon
like
murders.
yes, more, and you would be surprised at how many people are Mormon murderers. There's something else, so pretty great, I think. But I don't like to cut my episodes. I'd rather give you more.
Nice.
So, that's
Nice.
And then you guys
Yeah.
could check her out here on YouTube under the Unfiltered Podcast. And then
Spotify is better because they really, really hate me on YouTube. I did really good and I hit a big one, and then everything went to hell in a handbasket. So,
and we started following you on the SpeakinCOAD TikTok. Feel free to follow us. I don't know if we have anything
Awesome.
posting yet, but
We got one thing.
yeah.
there you
Wait,
go.
wait.
They're hard too. They will
Yeah.
piss. They will also shadow ban the crap out of you if you piss them off.
We just put our
So-
shorts on it. We're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I've been dinged for a photo.
And then your Instagram. Do you have the same thing for your link tree?
Yep, everything's Unfiltered Rise. Yep, Linktree. Everything should be on there. I do have a website. It's kind of in the works. It is up and running, and my podcast plays on there, so it will link you to the podcast. But it's gonna be better. I'm working on it.
And
I'm
you want
working
people
on
to
that.
follow your Twitter?
Sorry.
Oh, do you want people
My
to
IG?
follow your Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That'd be great. That would be
Cool.
wonderful.
So it's all right
Yes.
here.
And I
for
drop
Mormon.
twice a week on Spotify, but only once a week on YouTube because it's too much. I can't deal with their stuff. Shadow. So it's one of them
And then-
things. And I'm on X. I'm on X the least. If you want to see like my drops and stuff, it's usually IG is better. Twitter's hard.
Yeah.
I'm
can only
never on
post so much.
Facebook anymore. Yeah.
And
I have all the things.
you mentioned that your nephew has a book.
My brother-in-law, and it is Isaac Story, and that is on Amazon. And yes, that is it. And he is Warren Jeff's nephew, and he was also married to Rulon Jeff's granddaughter, because that's what happens. Don't ask. Anyway, different moms. So double related, and his kids are from that. His daughter is still in, and his sons are returned to him finally after many, many, many years.
Okay.
Over 18. Yeah. They don't care so much about the boys. They ain't letting that girl go. I'll tell you that right now. So, yep. Shout out Isaac. There is also a story about him on my Spotify where I did an interview where he tells his full story. That's a hard one. That was a hard one.
And he's in the hardcore one, right?
What's that?
He's in that hardcore one, the F one, or is he in the
Yep.
mainstream?
Yep.
Okay.
He's out now, but he was. Yes.
It was-
And he was born into that. He had 3 moms and over 30 brothers and sisters.
God dang.
Ooh.
I don't know why anybody would want to marry more than one woman. They're a pain in the ass, and I'll be the first to admit it. I don't understand that. Yeah, no way. No way. I tell my daughter that too, because she likes girls, and I say, you are crazy. I don't know. That's crazy. I always tell her whenever she tells me something, I'm like, you choose, so don't even. I'm like, I don't know how you put up with that. Mm-mm.
And then,
Guys are easier.
yeah. Lex TBD. He's crazy. Nah,
I'm terrible.
but
I'm
Heidi,
always joke.
so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Like, this has been so much fun.
you.
And, like, so knowledgeable. I'm like, I thought the Enochian thing, the Enochian language was from the Book of Enoch. I didn't know that Abrax or Abraxas was Abrac and Abracadabra. And
It's crazy. Yeah.
So
You
and then
there's a couple episodes on John D on my page, or I think it might be on Operation Red Pill, but check it out. It will help you with the whole weird John D business with all the angels.
Okay. You did mention the emerald tablets, but then after that you said Adam something.
Oh, the Adam God theory. So Mormons believe in the Adam God theory, and they believe that they will become God, just like God. And they also believe that Jesus was made just like everybody was made, with a sexual act. And they are three separate people. The Holy Ghost, Jesus, and God are all different.
Okay.
So, and Lucifer is Jesus's brother. And they didn't like black people. And they thought they should be killed and crazy stuff. And the brown people came out of this whole Layman Lemuel. It's like a disaster. I literally could spend all day on some of the stuff they've said where you just go, wow, okay. Yeah, it's bad. But their PR people are great.
Yeah. We'll have TBD do a watch party for that cartoon.
Oh my God.
I got it. It's on that cartoon's on my IG. The full cartoon is on my IG.
Really? Oh, we might have to do a watch party for that one. Where the devil turned bad people black.
He turns bad people black.
The cartoon that I pulled up earlier, you watched it.
Black people. All black people. Not just bad ones. All. It's weird. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know. And then look up Brigham Young quotes on black people. And you're just like, how does anybody? But the thing is there's black people that join the church. And I'm always like, have you not read anything? Like, did you not read any of this? This is a bad idea. This is crazy. The only time they changed it was when they got called out. So 1978, I was alive. Like, that wasn't that long ago. That's crazy. So.
Well, hey, Heidi Luv, it's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
Again.
You got any last words or want to say anything? Shout out to anybody.
Don't hide any of your stuff. Help other people, love each other. Don't let any crap separate us. They've done that enough. I think that's plenty done. We don't need to do that, but come together and study. The more you know.
Nice.
The more you know.
Yeah, you definitely came in and tore it up. That's for sure.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
TBD, hostess with the mostest.
Have a good meeting.
Chen Sizzle.
I'm good, man. I'm out.
Deuce.
All right, guys. Just listen to the SpeakinCOAD Podcast and our amazing guest, Heidi Luv from the Unfiltered Rise Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep on questioning. We out.
Yay!
Where the Mormons reside, there's a secret they keep deep inside. A garment of power, a symbol of might. Their magic undies shining bright. Undies a sign, oh how you delight. With your temple approved holy might, you keep the demons at bay and the sins in check. Undies of Zion. Streets, the faithful don their sacred treats. They're talking of covenant, a promise to abide. Their magic undies pride worldwide. Yeah, undies of Zion, oh how you delight. With your temple approved holy might, you keep the demons at bay and the sins in check. Undies of Zion.
trials they stand strong, in faith they belong, worn by the righteous day and night. Their magic undies pure as light. Undies of Zion, we can't get enough, yeah.